Hey guys, here we go into a video on Canelo versus Jacobs. Sorry for the long kind of hiatus of the week. I meant to do this video right after the fight, but I wound up going to a friend's birthday party and getting kind of smashed and having a good time, so it was pretty cool. But, you got to celebrate Cinco de Mayo with some Tecate and some micheladas, so that's what we did. But anyway, getting into the fight, number one, I thought Canelo smashed Daniel Jacobs. It was pretty evident, that he got a little bit tired in the second half of the fight where he was kind of laying on the ropes and letting Jacobs do some work. But I don't think Canelo was ever in any position where he was actually worried he was going to lose the fight. And I don't think Danny Jacobs was actually in a position to where he could win the fight either. There were some really great attacks, Danny Jacobs wound up catching Canelo with, but for the most part, I feel like Canelo had control of the fight throughout the 12 rounds. A couple of the middle ones, Danny probably won a couple of them, but even the ones that he won, even a lot of the rounds that Canelo won were close too. The early ones where he was figuring them out, but I felt like it was always Canelo that had the opportunities to really make the fight. If you watch it, and that's not how you score it, right? But I didn't feel like Canelo was ever in any danger of losing. It was just kind of like super sparring, right? And that's likely because of the fact that, number one, Jacobs has always been bad with his feints. He doesn't know how to get his opponents out of position, and Canelo was able to take advantage early of the fact that Jacobs does not set his punches up. But Canelo was also able to bait that stuff from Jacobs as well by quote-unquote putting himself out of position, right? With what I talk about a lot, and you got to see it firsthand in this fight. Amazing boxing from Canelo. Amazing, super good. With his active guard and his weight transfers and how he's constantly moving and walking around the ring with ease, right? Not like Jacobs, as we're going to see here, right? Watch Jacobs. Just watch Jacobs. Look at how when he walks, he steps. His weight doesn't go with him, right? He's kind of really plodding. He's kind of stuck, right? And then we're going to go back and watch Canelo as all his weight on his front foot, right? So he can slip, right? Ducking down to his right when he knows he's in danger. Ducking on his left foot, right? And see how he can pull back and slip these punches, or when punches do come, rather. I mean, I know nothing's happening right now, but this motion right here, this one is the one that I'm really fond of, right? See how his head is here? He's going to transfer his weight to his left foot. Just a slight move, right? And he's constantly moving his head and giving his opponent different looks, feinting. Again, the active guard, a big fan. And look at, right? The jab comes and he slips it, and then he knows that he's in danger, right? The right hand might be coming because Jacobs might be setting the right hand up with the jab, so he moves his head. He says, hey, the right hand might come, so I'm going to move, okay? But it doesn't. And then when he does think it's coming, again, beautiful, right? Slips, getting out of the way of the possible right hand, and then this is even better, you guys, right? Right? When he starts moving forward, Jacobs leans to slip to the outside, and Canelo thinks it's going to be a right hand, right? He thinks it's going to be a right hand, and he slips it. Beautiful boxing, paying attention to the weight transfers. To be honest, I thought this was like nearly a virtuoso performance from Canelo. I thought he smashed Jacobs. Even though Jacobs, didn't get knocked down or, obviously hurt. I'll say he wasn't obviously hurt in the fight, but Canelo just had his way with him, and then after, again, once Jacobs started getting comfortable shooting his jab, right? Canelo using good defense, getting out of the way of them, knowing that he's watching the right hand. He's ready for any punch that's really going to hurt him, not afraid to put himself out of position from the jab because he understands that his weight has to come with him, right? And then once he has Daniel Jacobs into that rhythm where Jacobs feels, oh, I'm comfortable throwing punches, he starts catching him with his own jab, right? Because Danny Jacobs doesn't set his punches up, right? He's expecting him to lean on that front foot, and then Jacobs is trying to time him as he transfers his weight, and then Canelo says, I got you, fam. I got you. Another one coming. Again, Danny Jacobs is very bad at setting his offense up. Canelo blocks that shot and then catches him with the double jab. And look at how out of position Jacobs winds up because he's not expecting it. He doesn't understand that these punches are coming off these timings because he thinks that he's been controlling Canelo this whole time. He thinks, oh, I got the power, I got the offense, I have the control, I have this. But he doesn't realize that Canelo's just setting him up. Canelo's waiting, he's setting these traps, and he's looking for his opportunities to maximize his output and minimize his effort. And again, great work here. Look how he leans on his front foot, right? And then boom, as he comes back and shifts his weight back, right? As he's about to go into another one, he shoots another jab. Beautiful. And then he slips and gets out of the way of the punches after. Look at all the effort that he goes through just to land one jab, right? Boom, slips the counter and then pulls out, right? A lot of effort. But that's what you got to do with the highest level of the game. You don't want to take unnecessary damage. Now, again, beautiful. Again, Danny Jacobs, not very good at setting his punches up. He's able to block that shot and then go to the body. And again, it's on that same timing, right? And what Jacobs doesn't understand is he thinks he's controlling Canelo, right? But as Canelo goes into that same motion, he's transferring his weight to his front leg. Boom, he catches him with a great left hook. And you don't have to transfer all your weight, but once you get good at transferring your weight, you'll know when to distribute, when not, and you'll have control of your ability to transfer your weight. And here we see Canelo putting that on display, transferring just a little bit of his weight to get enough into that left hook to really make it count. And you can see Jacobs fall off balance after he gets hit by that shot, right? And then again, all night, Jacobs was struggling setting up his shots. And again, this beautiful active guard, right? Not afraid to slip and feint. And look at how Danny Jacobs pulls away, right? He's going to pull away because he thinks it's going to be a right hand, right? He thinks he's setting him up for a pull counter. It could be a jab there, or it could be a right hand. He doesn't know, but he's controlling Jacobs. He's controlling Jacobs with his active guard and with his feinting off of this lead foot, right? Now, think about how powerful this is, you guys, because think about how many times in your boxing career, your coach has told you, don't put your weight on your front foot. Don't put your weight on your front foot because they're going to catch you. They're going to hit you with the shot because you're putting yourself out of position. Now you can't do this. Now you can't do that. And we're seeing it done at the highest level, and Jacobs is terrified of it. He knows he's in danger now. And then again, coming forward, and I love this. I love this. The jab comes, right? And Canelo goes, oh, maybe that got me. And he slips the right hand. He understands that this is the setup for the right hand, right? Because Jacobs is not landing any punches he doesn't set up. And that's why he's not landing any punches. But also, if he is looking to use that jab from, even when he doesn't set his jab up, he's looking to set up the right hand. Canelo knows that I have to respect it, right? Everything in life, and I was saving this for like another time, but it's kind of one of my catchphrases right now, but everything in life has a cost, right? You just got to pay it. Everything in life has some kind of cost. And in boxing right now, you want to be one of those lazy fighters that sits in front of your opponent and goes, where are the easy punches at, Or do you want to say, hey, I know this is hard work, but I want to be freaking good at it. I want to work hard, and I want to do good. And Canelo says that every time he fights, every time he's getting better. Even like in the beginning of his career when you have so much like criticism of him, you can still see that he's getting better, that he's working, that even though there is the criticism there, he's still working hard to be good. And that's more important than whether you win or you lose the fights. Let's say that he lost every single one of his close fights. Every single one. Maybe the Cotto fight. Maybe he lost the Erislandy Lara fight. Maybe he lost I don't even know which other ones there were. To be honest, I don't care. But the fact that he's here now, still working and getting better, shows that it's important to keep going, not to get hung up on that. Anyway, I got kind of sidetracked. But again, beautiful boxing, respecting his opponent, respecting that the whole goal of shooting the jab, right? Most of the time from your opponent is to set up the right hand, respecting that. Even though Jacobs isn't throwing any right hands, he's respecting it. And again, beautiful timing on his jab. He knows that Jacobs not setting up his right hand. He's able to catch him with beautiful counters because Jacobs just commits to his shots. He doesn't, boom. Now, this is one situation where I was like, oh shit, man, look at Sugar Ray Daniel Jacobs right here with these punches. That was really good. Now, Canelo does make a little bit of a mistake here when he comes forward. He picks the left hook. He uses good defensive responsibility. He bodies up with his opponent. But if you look at his left leg, right, his left leg is a little slow to move, right? And if we watch that in real time, it's pretty quick. But his left foot doesn't close the distance. You want to get your left foot close to your opponent so you can get your arm on them as well, right? And that's the only mistake he makes here, that and not tying up, right? If he tied up or if he brought his leg just a little bit farther, right, so that his back hip, you can see his back hip right here, it's kind of stuck right there, and he doesn't body up with Jacobs all the way, and he winds up a little bit out of position, and then Danny Jacobs takes a small step to create that space and land those punches. Good work for Jacobs for seeing it, you know, but it was mostly an error on Canelo's part. And then again, Danny Jacobs not doing very well with his jab, not setting his punches up super well. He's trying, but he's not able to actually get Canelo to react in a way that puts himself out of position. Notice when the jab comes, he slips down here to get away from the right hand. And Jacobs is not paying attention to that, right? Because he knows that once you slip this way, if the right hand comes, right, he can counter with the left hook. So he knows that Canelo is not out of position here, but he also is not utilizing the information correctly that he's getting from his jab. His jab says, hey, he's going to either counter me, right, or he's going to slip to the inside of me, right? But he's not using that information to set up his punches, and he kind of just gets stuck. And then you see him commit to the hook right here and then just eat another savage body shot. And again, beautiful defense. And this is real defense, right? It's not just when you're out of position, right? It's not just when someone's throwing punches, but it's when you're out of position, right? And the fact that he's able to do all this stuff, and I'll show you another clip, which is what I mean. But it's the fact that he's able to do this and transition his weight and stay in position to get out of position of more punches as well. But good work here again. Look at how they trade jabs, right? And now this is beautiful, you guys. This is the difference between a fighter, like an A-level fighter, right? And, you know, Jacobs, who's a strong C. You know, he's a C++. He's pretty fast. He hits really hard, but he doesn't have good defense. He doesn't have an active guard, and he doesn't set his punches up. You know, he's just kind of a fighter. I know, Danny Jacobs, he'd kick my ass, man. I'd never say this to his face because he'd beat me up. No, I'm just kidding. I probably would tell him to his face. He probably wouldn't beat me up because he's a nice guy and stuff. But the difference is here. You can see it right here, you guys. They each eat jabs. Now, what is Canelo's instinct? Duck the right hand. What is Daniel Jacobs' instinct? Oh, move back in a straight line. And watch his hips. Watch Daniel Jacobs' hips come back. They stay in the same position. No transfer of weight. So he leans all the way forward on his front foot and then all the way back on his back foot, putting himself out of position on 2 counts. Anyway, moving forward. Again, great work. Look at that. Just beautiful from Canelo, right? After eating the jab, right, which he's going to eat here, he comes forward, tries to body up, and then moves out, and then goes back to feinting, goes back to controlling Jacobs, and Jacobs says, oh, God, I don't know what to do when he slips to the inside. I don't know what to do when he does this. So he has to shoot his jab to try and control Canelo, control him, and then when he goes to control him, Canelo says, oh, I knew that was coming because he sees it here, right, when he goes to lean on his front foot, right, sees it here. So he goes to lean on the front foot. He knows it's coming, and he baits and sets the trap and clobbers him with the right hand. Just a savage right hand. And I know it doesn't land super cleanly, but it's just so crisp. And then look at when he misses his weight transfer for his blocking, you know, and you don't want to see too much of this, right? But when he misses, he transfers his weight and then pulls his weight back with his uppercut and then follows his hips back. And look at how he moves off the line. Everything that he does transferring his weight, you guys. Beautiful. Right hand. Shoots the jab. Look at when he shoots the jab. Look at how his hips come back into place. Now he's in position to throw a right hand. And that allows him to throw this right hand. Now his hips are turned and torqued this way. So he follows his hips back through. Right? Boom, boom. Follows his hips back through. Leans all his weight on his left leg. Right? Following his hips. And then puts himself back into position. Beautiful boxing. Beautiful weight transfers. And then beautiful defense. Able to just kind of clown around in front of Jacobs because he understands that all he has to do is move his head. You know, if his opponent doesn't know where his head is going, it doesn't matter if he has his hands up or not. And again, just beautiful boxing from Canelo. Slipping. Now look at how he gives him all these different looks here, right? Slipping to the inside, slipping to the inside, slipping to the outside. And then when he slips to the inside here, catches him with the jab, right? And then again, catches him with the jab when he slips to the inside, right? Or when he slips onto his right leg, boom, catches him with the jab. Now he slips to the outside, or to the Jacobs inside. Sorry, I'm mixing that up, guys. And then catches him with the hook, right? Beautiful boxing, you guys. And it's all because he's working on his weight transitions. It's all because of his active guard. He's able to set these punches up and have free punches. All these punches were free because Danny Jacobs doesn't realize that he's in danger. He doesn't know what it looks like to be in front of somebody like this. And then again, just more beautiful boxing, more free punches. Again, right? Slips to the inside, right? Jacobs, oh, wait, what's going on here? Slip to the outside, slip to the inside. And then when he slips to the inside or to the outside on this next one, because he's down here, he's able to come up with that free punch and not let Jacobs know that it's coming. Just beautiful boxing. And then that all gives you the opportunity, to have fancy defense and then to do stuff like this, where when you do pull away, right, boom, transfers all his weight. And I'll be showing you guys drills for this too. The pull, right, the pull counter style, like hook right there. I have some drills coming for it. I'll teach you guys how to do it. Super, super easy. But great body shot right there. And it's all because of the weight transfers, Again, look how all his weight goes to his back foot, right? He's on his toes on his front foot. And then when he transfers his weight back to his left foot, his toes on his back foot are up and all his weight is in his left heel. Just beautiful technique, you guys. Boom, boom. Anyway, as far as Canelo goes, I think that he's shown enough to be considered, top 10 pound for pound. Even with his close fights with Lara, even with his close fights against Cotto and all those other guys that he had close fights against. Excuse me. And his close fights against Triple G. I don't think that diminished him at all. And I think it was probably the best thing for him to realize, oh, you're good, man. You're good. You're cream of the crop for this era. But you need to be better if you want to be the best, And I think Canelo learned that. I think Canelo believes it. And I think that we're about, maybe 1 or 2 fights away from seeing Canelo truly put on virtuoso-type performances against other A-level fighters. Now, I don't know where I rank Canelo as far as pound for pound right now. I have Lomachenko at number 1 in terms of skills and craft of all time. I think he's the greatest fighter of all time. I have Crawford number 1 or number 2 because of not only because his skills, his versatility, but his body of work has a decent amount to do with it. But I think he's probably the most versatile of the fighters in boxing right now. The only thing I don't like about Crawford is his craft. He does so many different things in the room. In the ring, it is hard to pin him down, but to figure him out, how he's going to fight you, what he wants to do. But the problem with that is if he has like all these, like I'll say it kind of like in a crude way, but say you're really good at this style, like the style of probing in your left-handed and your right-handed stance, right? You're pretty good. You'll beat any average fighter with it. You're any average C fighter that just had no chance, right? You have an active guard. Any fighter who doesn't have an active guard, anyone that's kind of, you're able to, without the active guard, and again, let me show you what I mean. Again, Canelo moving around, right? Look at Canelo moving, right? It's very, very difficult for Jacobs to dictate to Canelo what Canelo can and cannot do, because Canelo is the one dictating, right? He's the one with the active guard, right? And Jacobs is standing straight up. He's like, okay, let me figure this guy out. Let me figure this guy out. And Canelo, even when Jacobs punches at him, right, as we saw like in other clips, let me see if I can find them. Right here, even when he punches at him, right, he can't pin him down. He can't figure him out. He can't control him, because all of those things wind up in his level of craft, the things that he's trained at fighting under this style, right? Like, here's the really good, this is the best example, right? So you can see him, Danny Jacobs doing the right thing, right? Now, and against any average A-level fighter, right, who has good offense and A-level and B-level and all that stuff, that's the baseline, right? There are whole other levels that you can get to, right? But most fighters never reach that level of craft, But you see how Jacobs is doing the right thing. This is considered an active guard, right? It's a very, very dominant style of an active guard with your probing lead hand, right? Controlling with lead hand dominance, right? And Canelo doesn't even fight for lead hand dominance. He doesn't even care, because he knows how to get around it already, right? He's got an active guard. He's good at feinting, and he knows how to use that, boom, to land his shots. Now, that's a whole nother level of lead hand dominance, right? Of understanding this tactic and understanding timing that Canelo has. And that's where I'm afraid for Crawford in his case, that he fights so many different styles that he doesn't build up enough craft around each one of those styles to be able to maybe beat someone who who has fought those styles before, right? Now, the reason that that might be important, now, it's a little different for Crawford because he's so versatile. He can fight southpaw and orthodox. He can bait counters. He can do the probing style. He can control you and allow you to come forward. He can be offensive. He can do it all. So rather than building on top of one layer of offense or one style of fighting, he can go wide against you and try different tactics, right? Rather than try to bully you with his tactic when it doesn't work, right? And then that brings me to Errol Spence. For the most part, you know, I don't think he's number 3 pound for pound. I think I'll have Canelo over him, but Spence is in my top 10 not because of his skills, right, but because of his body of work. He's beaten a lot of good fighters. He's never come really close to losing. You know, the Kell Brook fight was close, but Kell Brook, you could see he was fading, you know, and you never saw that Errol Spence was fading, just not even close. But Spence with his how do you say it? With his body of work, I feel solidifies a place, right, in like a kind of a different style of pound for pound discussion, right? Lomachenko, he has no body of work, right? He's got 13 fights, right? But he's fought really high level competition and he's beaten them all in dramatic and dominant fashion, right? And you can just see the level of skill is there. Whereas I think Spence hides a lot of his skill, you know, with his bulldozing fighters, as he talked about in his post-fight Mikey fight, that he's going to go back to just bulldozing fighters rather than boxing them. And it's fascinating because I believe film study is so important in boxing. And if that's a level of his craft that he chooses to fight like a donkey in some of his fights so that people can't study him so he can be 100% for his best fights, I think that's brilliant. You know, I think that's brilliant. But anyway, getting back to Canelo, I think that we're about 1 or 2 fights away from seeing him, I don't want to say peak, right? But really, like, open people's eyes to him possibly being, you know, one of the greatest fighters of all time. You know, and this Canelo, I give this Canelo at least a 50-50 chance to beat Mayweather, and a prime Mayweather too. You know, weight aside, I think that Canelo right now, he looks like a better fighter than Mayweather ever showed himself to be. Now, we never really got to see Mayweather pushed. He didn't have a lot of close fights. You know, the Cotto fight was a little close because Cotto's he's small, you know, but he's a thick guy. You know, he's a strong guy. And I thought that was a good fight to push Mayweather, even though I think Mayweather clearly won 7-5. But anyway, I'm really impressed with Canelo and the way that he's developed, and I think that he is going to go down as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, sorry for the hiatus, you guys, but I have some really like sweet stuff going on, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, maybe like a couple more weeks. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And for all you guys that are interested in training and stuff, you guys hit me up all the time. I appreciate it. It's coming, you guys. It's coming.